Hey there, Taurus. Welcome to your reading for June 2025. We are going to jump right in here, Taurus. You have this Hand of Fate card. It says everything is happening for a reason except the things to which fate binds you. You have this Toxic Triggers card. It says find the strength to remove yourself from toxic influences in your life. A lot of people, I think, are probably going to get cards like this, having to do with removing things that are toxic from their life. There's something about that Saturn and Aries. Saturn is actually moving into Aries today. I'm doing this reading on the 24th. And, Saturn and Aries, they're not necessarily toxic or anything like that. But, I like to look at everything that is going on and everything that has gone on at the same time as far as the astrology is concerned. And, we had that the full moon in Scorpio, another fixed sign, a couple weeks ago now. And, that full moon is all about like the truth, or kind of like exposing your own truth and things like that. And, just like some other things as well. And plus Saturn going into Aries, I feel that, definitely the universe is asking people to remove things that are toxic from their lives. I've done about half these readings so far. This will be like number 7 for me. And a couple of signs have had this already. So, again, it could just be astrological, something you're working on. In your current general energies, you have the Six of Cups, the World, and the King of Swords. The Six of Cups, of course, can represent, the innocence, nostalgia, childlike energy, protecting something. They're basically protecting their inner child. These two children here, we have this guard, these castle walls, and so they are protecting their innocence, or something that is innocent in their life. And I don't know why that's popping into my head. I never say that with the Six of Cups, but there could be something that you are protecting, like the innocence of, not like literally, but maybe something that you're trying to protect. I don't even look at the Six of Cups as a card of protection, but it is kind of popping into my head as protection. The other thing that I will say, I don't really feel this intuitively, Taurus, but you do have the Ten of Swords right next to it. And so the Ten of Swords can be a difficult ending, but the Ten of Swords is a blessing in disguise. Usually, maybe in the moment, we don't think that the Ten of Swords is a blessing in disguise, but in the future, we usually look at Ten of Swords type things as a blessing in disguise. And so I don't really feel this intuitively, but just kind of like connecting these two cards here, there could have been something that happened in your recent past where, maybe as we get into the month of June, it's like you're realizing that something was a blessing in disguise. So, I feel like that could also be a possibility here. You have the World showing up here. I mean, if you're watching my channel, then you have to take up more space in the world. That is the number one rule now of Minnow Tarot. So I think everybody on Earth should be doing this, but obviously not everyone watches me. Only the most smart and the most attractive people watch Minnow Tarot. That's it. So I don't know. I don't know what that means for everybody else. But, what I would say here is that you are watching me, and so, it is our job over the next 20 years to be an inspiration to other people. You have the Hermit. The other one thing I will say about Saturn and Aries as well is that Saturn and Aries, like, we cannot hold back. We cannot, if you think something, I think people need to be more blunt, but there's a difference between being blunt and being a jerk. This is more about speaking your truth. And also, I think one of the big themes we'll see with Saturn and Aries is, like, we all have those moments in life where we think we should speak up and say something and we don't. And it could be in any area of life. And so the World for you, Taurus, I think is saying, like, in those moments, and this is going to be important for everyone, but it's showing up for you, is, in those moments, you need to speak up. In those moments, you need to, speak your mind. And that's what I would really do with this World energy. You have the King of Swords. King of Swords, the card of knowledge and wisdom. You could be gaining a lot of knowledge and wisdom through experiences. The world can sometimes say that we're getting out into the world. We're having experiences, we're, doing new things in life, and, all that other good stuff. So I kind of feel like you're gaining a lot of experience in the month of June, probably the entire summer, but I really feel this is your energy showing up in the reading. Yes, I understand that you are not an air sign, but again, I think that you are maybe embracing the energy of the King of Swords, like, being willing to learn, being willing to have new experiences, being willing to get out into the world. And this will be good for, like, accomplishments or things you're trying to accomplish. With the Six of Cups, you have the Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords is a card of self-imposed restriction, but maybe she's trying to protect herself because, she could easily set herself free. The whole point of the Eight of Swords is that she's only seeing one way of doing things when there are many. But sometimes I think we try to protect ourselves by only seeing one way. And so, this could be a card of kind of needing to create a turnaround. The Six of Cups is kind of a gift from the universe, and usually the gift we receive from the Six of Cups is a turnaround, meaning like obstacles are being removed from our lives. And so, we have to open up to all other ways of doing things. And again, this first row is saying open up to knowledge. With the World, yes, you have the Hermit, exactly what I said here. So the Hermit really says you have to shine your inner light. He has learned a lot. He has this star in his lantern. And so he's been through a dark night of the soul, and now he is shining his inner light. But he needs to blast that star out all over the place. And like I said, I think that World is just saying that you need to take up more space in the world, share your mind, speak your mind, share your thoughts, all that other good stuff. That's what I would do with the Hermit. With the King of Swords, you have the Knight of Cups. Could definitely be love. You do have a little bit of love here in this reading, Taurus. So if you're looking for love, could be a water sign, could be any sign. You have water and earth are both showing up here. So the Knight of Cups can be a knight in shining armor. King of Swords can be a person that's older than you. And, again, there could be some sort of age difference. Maturity, one thing I will say is that I think we go through cycles, in the world, just in general. And, the cycle that we're in right now, I just think maturity in general is more attractive. It's always attractive, but I'm just saying it's, more attractive at this time. So, this person could be younger than you, but they could just be very mature. And that's what you could be attracting. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Revelry and Indulgence card and this Air card. It says, seek a union of mind and spirit. Yes, King of Swords, for sure. So I would be doing that. I would be careful of indulging too much. The problem with Neptune in Aries, Neptune will be leaving Aries, but, it officially moves into Aries January 26th of next year. It's still there right now. But the problem with Neptune in Aries, I think, will be escapism. The problem with Neptune in Aries as well is looking for a savior. But the problem with that on a personal level is that we could be looking for kind of comfort in some ways. But as long as we aren't doing negative things to get that comfort, we will be fine. So I think this is saying, don't be afraid to do hard things, right? Especially if they're going to lead to growth. You have the Ten of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Chariot. Ten of Swords says something is dead, done, over with. But I really feel with that Six of Cups and the Eight of Swords, this could be something that you have been stuck on for a long time. And now you're finally kind of releasing it or letting it go, or you're finally seeing how, something that happened was actually a blessing in disguise. He's making the symbol right here. And that symbol is the same symbol that the Hierophant, your card, is making on his card. And it just represents a blessing. So I feel a lot of you could be seeing that some sort of ending is actually going to be a blessing for you in the future. I also do get something about worries here, Taurus. You have the Hermit twice. He's not really a card of worrying, but the Hermit has put himself in isolation because, he's been through something difficult. I think after you have been through something difficult, it's very tempting to stay in isolation. And there's something popping into my head here that you need to release the kind of the worries. And as I said that, I was noticing this card here, which we'll talk about in your next row, but this is the Snake card, and it says time to heal on it. But I feel like you're breaking a trance, and I think anxiety, worry, those types of emotions can definitely be a trance, right? We can kind of be hypnotized by those things. And, one thing I will say also about the astrology that we're in right now is that we shouldn't have extreme thinking, thinking something's going to be all good or all bad. What we should be doing is paying attention to the evidence, and that's it. Right? You have the Knight of Pentacles. I feel pretty good about this with the Six of Pentacles and the Chariot also showing up connected to this card. This would really represent progress and making progress towards a goal. You could also say that you're experiencing growth or you are growing more in life in general. So I kind of just feel that you are making progress at this time, which is great. And the other thing that I feel is really good for you here, Taurus, is it feels to me like this month there's some motivation, as in, we can make progress, but we don't see it, or we make such slow progress that we don't see it, and then we're not feeling very motivated, and it's hard to work. I feel a much more motivated kind of feeling off this Knight of Pentacles for you this month, which is good. You have the Chariot. Yeah, I think all fixed signs need to do something to set themselves apart. I think this is probably one of the best energies for fixed signs to work with. He's leaving the city behind him and he's charging forward in a new direction in his life. And so I feel that there could be like a new direction or multiple new directions for you. And moving in those new directions will probably be very successful. But it's going to require you to leave like comfort zones. And, that's the other thing that could be kind of coming up with that Six of Cups and that Eight of Swords. The Six of Cups is a good card, but with the Eight of Swords there, it could say that there are certain like safety nets. I was getting something about comfort on the Ten of Swords, but it was like saying to me, do the hard thing. And, I think that sometimes we know that we have to maybe do something hard to improve our lives. And I do feel that with the Chariot. Like, I feel like, I don't think this is going to be like hard. I think it's just a stretch. And I would encourage you to like stretch at this time. Or, it's like if you have to, take a class to get some sort of certification, it's like that would be kind of like hard, but it would lead to something better. And I feel like that's what this reading is talking about, at least the first part of it. It's saying that there are a lot of benefits that will come from doing those things. And that's it. That's what I would do there. With the Ten of Swords, you have the Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups is about walking away from things that no longer serve you, which clearly you are probably doing at this time. Again, we're kind of like in between these eclipses. We just had the Aries and Virgo eclipses this year, and then we're going to have 2 more eclipses like starting in September. Whenever we're in between eclipses, I see the Eight of Cups come up a lot because, the Eight of Cups is the only card in the tarot that has an eclipse on it right here. And the Eight of Cups that's what we do after eclipses. We walk away from things that no longer serve us. And sometimes it takes, the entire 6 months or whatever it is for us to like fully clear something out. I feel like you are doing it though, so, pretty good. With the Knight of Pentacles, you have the Six of Cups. This is much better going this way. We have 2 sixes. I love 2 sixes. 2 sixes to me says that you're like on the right path. You're going the right direction in your life, and you're like doing the things that you need to be doing to get ahead. So this is much better. And this type of thing here could say that maybe you thought you knew what your Six of Cups is. Six of Cups is something that fulfills your inner child. And going this way, it's like you could be discovering what really brings you joy in life this month. So this is really good. With the Chariot, you have the Ace of Swords. You have the Ace of Swords twice, and the Ace of Swords comes up in the good stuff here. So the Ace of Swords is definitely a good card, but with the Chariot, it would kind of represent overcoming an obstacle, which is great because, Eight of Swords, Ten of Swords, Eight of Cups, there's definitely something that you are trying to overcome at this time. But the sword is above the mountains, so, it does represent overcoming something. The sword is kind of like the perfect card for you to get in this reading, really, because it really represents everything I just said. The sword has these yods here on both sides, these 6 golden yods. They're in perfect balance, and the sword is perfectly balanced. So like I said, no thinking things are too good or too bad, just being in the middle, being neutral, and kind of balancing things out. The sword also has this palm frond here, this olive branch here. Palm frond is like a sacrifice. The olive branch is an offer of peace or abundance. So a lot of you could be releasing something like we already talked about. So again, perfect card for you to get at this time. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this Trust the Great Mystery. Then you also have this Time to Heal card. Like I said, with this snake, I feel like you're breaking some sort of trance or something that's had a hold over you for a long time. And it kind of feels like anxiety or, something like that. Maybe just worrying. If you're like a chronic worrier, you could be breaking that trance as well with that snake card. This whale spirit, I feel like you're being more, it's like I feel like you're letting go more is more the feeling I get with that whale. It's like you're just willing to, let things be. You're willing to just not say that anything you do has to work or can't fail. I feel like you're just more kind of like saying, I'm just going to take things day by day and see how they go. And so I get a much more like relaxed feeling with that whale spirit as well. You have the Six of Pentacles, the Hermit, and the Queen of Cups. Again, the Six of Pentacles is like step by step. It is planting seeds. He is investing in one person, not the other, and he's going to see if his investment with this person grows. If it does, then great, he'll keep going. If it doesn't, he'll do something else. And a lot of you could be getting back to that balanced place in your life here, Taurus, where instead of like attaching this like need for things to work, you're just saying like, if this works, then I'll let it work. That's it. And if it doesn't work, then I'll just move on to something else. And I'm speaking very generally because I feel this is happening pretty much in every area of your life, where it's like instead of needing things to happen, you're just like letting them happen, whatever direction that goes. And it just feels like a nicer, especially with that whale spirit, just has like a nicer flow. You have the Hermit again, so obviously an important card for you this month. Again, I would take up more space with the world, as we already said. I would put yourself out there more ideas. I really feel it's time, like, I'm not saying that you have to change, but I feel it's time for Taurus to change. And again, I'm not saying that you are, becoming some sort of fake person or something like that. I think the change that is happening is that you are kind of embracing your strength. The Ace of Swords, which you have twice, is a card of fortitude. It's that like inner strength, your inner truth coming out. And that's like what true strength is your inner truth, right? And so I feel like a lot of you are like moving more towards your inner truth with that Hermit. You have the Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups is about following your heart. And so I feel it would be a good time for a lot of you to kind of like follow your heart at this time. She really, and this has been coming up for you for like 2 years now. I think the end of Uranus and Taurus here is why this has been coming up for you so much. Uranus and Taurus really wants Taurus to live a life of freedom. And living from your heart is pretty much the most free that you will ever be. So that's pretty much what I would do with the Queen of Cups, plain and simple. With the Six of Pentacles, you have the Death card. Death can represent a transformation or a big change coming in for you, of course. I feel like you are changing. I mean, you have the Snake, which is like shedding your skin. You have the Death card, which is a big change. But it's not really like a change. I think it's more like you are highlighting your strengths. You are, focusing on what makes you special and putting those things out into the world. Instead of holding back, I feel like you're speaking up, which is exactly what you should be doing with Saturn in Aries, of course, but also, you're going to have Neptune in Aries as well for 14 years. Starting, it'll be like 13 years or something starting next year. And even though it's there right now, if I can't make this more confusing. But what I would say is, with all that, and we're going to have more energy moving through Aries as well. So, like I said, I would be taking advantage of that, being more bold, assertive, highlighting those things that make you special, those things inside of yourself that you keep hidden and, all that other stuff. With the Hermit, you have the Ten of Wands. I'm telling you right now, the reading said to me at the beginning, do the hard thing. This isn't like, again, I don't think this is going to be a struggle or anything like that. This is probably something you want to accomplish that could be a little bit challenging, like, going back to school or getting a certification or building a business or building a relationship that's good or something like that. And I feel like the Ten of Wands is just going to be so worth it. And so that's why I would do the hard thing, whatever hard thing you're thinking about doing right now, because you can handle it. And, that's the only reason, is because you can. And I feel you need to believe that as well, Taurus. He's carrying these 10 wands, but he's about to reach his home. He's about to have a harvest. So a lot of you, it's like if you do the hard thing, I feel this is saying you will have that harvest. With the Queen of Cups, you have the Eight of Pentacles. Yep. Straightforward, diligent work. I mean, it's like a straightforward process. X plus Y equals Z in this situation, right? With the Eight of Pentacles. So if you're thinking about doing some sort of process right now, like I said, like getting a certification, going back to school, doing something hard that will lead to a result, this just says if you just follow the steps, you will get there. Plain and simple. So I would just like follow the steps with the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles, material success on the horizon as well. So it kind of says that whatever you're doing right now will make you more money in the future if you put the work in. He's also mastering his craft. King of Swords. King of Swords is the master. So if you are doing something to improve your skills or to improve your craft, whatever it is that you do, there definitely could be a lot more money coming in the future, which is great. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this clear your energy card. Yeah, basically the devil here. This is the satyr card. It's basically the devil. And, the toxic triggers card, I would be clearing out toxic stuff with this card. And you have this enchanted card as well. Yeah, I think magic starts to happen for you here, Taurus, this month when you put in the work. So it's almost like you're creating magic in your life. You have the Two of Cups, the Ace of Swords, and the Moon. Two of Cups is like a perfect match. So if you are looking for love, there is a little bit of love in this reading. And like I said, Two of Cups is a perfect match. And, it also can be a person who's different than your usual type. So you could be attracting like a different type of person. Two of Cups is also communication. So you have the Ace of Swords as well. And the Ace of Swords can also represent communication. And a lot of you could be just communicating with a new person or a new type of person as well. You have the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is like a victory or a big success coming in for you. So it's coming up in the good stuff. Obviously, it's going to be a good thing. I feel a lot of you are kind of like overcoming difficulties and challenges with this Ace of Swords. And, obviously that would be good. I feel that a lot of you could be kind of like overcoming some things that have held you back for a long time as well with the Ace of Swords. Like I said, I kind of feel with that Six of Cups and the Ten of Swords and also the Ten of Wands, that you have been dealing with like some challenges for a while. It could just be mindset, could be the worrying, the anxiety, whatever it is. And the Ace of Swords would kind of represent overcoming that and having a victory. So definitely could be a victory. You have the Moon also in the good stuff, which is great. The Moon in the good stuff would represent clearing a moon period. The Moon is anxiety. The Moon definitely can represent anything mental, like anxiety, fear, illusions, all that good stuff. So coming up in the good stuff, it kind of says that you're coming out of darkness. I always look at it as a card of clarity in the good stuff because it says you're getting to a place of clarity. The Ace of Swords is also my card of laser-like focus and like crystal clear thinking. So, mentally, I think the month of June is going to be very good for you, Taurus. With the Two of Cups, you have the Hangman. It's like I feel this very strongly for you, Taurus. I feel that you could be attracting a person that really changes your worldview in a lot of ways. It kind of makes sense. We had Neptune in Pisces for a long time. Neptune's in Aries. It's going to retrograde into Pisces once more. The thing about Neptune in Pisces is that it can represent death to traditional belief. We all have certain beliefs that we were raised with. And when Neptune's going through Pisces, it's basically like the universe is like, why? Why have you always believed the sky is blue, right? Why isn't it green? Why isn't it red, right? And so it's like we kind of question certain traditional beliefs. So it makes sense to me that, with Neptune, it will be retrograding into Pisces eventually, that there could be a person who comes into your life that kind of, flips your beliefs or gets you looking at things in a different way. It's showing up in the good stuff, so obviously this could be good. It could be a person that leads to a lot of personal growth in your life, or a person that kind of changes your worldview for the better and makes you stronger, right? With the Ace of Swords showing up right here. With the Ace of Swords, you have the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords is going to come up for you for the next 14 years, pretty much, probably actually 20 years. But the Seven of Swords, he is stealing these swords from this army in the background. But instead of going to war, he's stealing the swords. So he is using tactics. Tactical thinking is going to be very good for Taurus, kind of like coming up with other ways of doing things. Instead of like charging right towards things, kind of finding more tactical approaches is going to be beneficial. With the Moon, you have the Ace of Wands, really good. The Ace of Wands, this is the light. The Ace of Wands, I always say, is my favorite card in the tarot because it's just that like one thing I think we need sometimes to be motivated. It's like that spark of hope or that spark of inspiration. So like in the darkness with the Moon, you are getting that spark, that thing. And here, your first card is this Firecracker card, which is hilarious. It's like that spark, right? That could be coming in for you. So I like to see that for sure. You have this Firecracker. It says excitement. I would move towards excitement with the Queen of Cups as well. She follows her heart, but heart-based living can be following your inspirations, following your desires, doing things that you actually want to do, like moving towards fulfillment. And I feel a lot of you could be doing that with this energy. You have this money path card. It says a path with money is waiting for you to find it. 8 of Pentacles. I feel there is like a simple process. I don't know. There's nothing else popping into my head with this, but I feel like that 8 of Pentacles is like, you are following a set of instructions. Like if you just stick to that, I think you will do very well. And that's what I would do here. You have this bear. It says danger, especially money matters. Again, money looks good. This keeps happening in readings, and it makes perfect sense. I think we're in a time where money is kind of questionable at best, and all we have to do is pay attention. As long as we pay attention, we will be fine. You have this May card, and then I always clarify these monthly cards. You have this August card. So something that happened in May could be happening in August for you. Like these could be months that you have to pay attention to. You could be revisiting things from May in August. It feels good. I think this will be a good thing. You have this man card. It says dealings or relationships with a man, and you have this success card. Again, if you are meeting a person, doesn't have to be a man. I'm reading for a lot of you, so it could be whatever. But if you're meeting a person that really kind of flips your worldview in some way, that could be where a lot of success is coming from. But this looks really good, Taurus. I like it. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.